Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Leverage Podcast. We're on about episode 38, 39 right now. So appreciate you all sticking in, tuning in, always learning a lot of great nuggets from our seasoned business owners in here. Today, I want to introduce a colleague and friend of mine that I'm passionate about is in that real estate market, Trey Willard. Hey, let us know what you do and how you make money.
Yeah, man. So what I do, there's lots of hats I wear today that I didn't wear in the beginning. But today, as the CEO of the W Group, which is an independent real estate brokerage here. Our hub is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. However, we do serve the greater North Shore area, which is really just north of New Orleans, and we cover the entire greater New Orleans area. So 3 different markets, expanding actually into a 4th market, which is Lafayette, which you and I made a connection earlier today, which is about 45 minutes west of us. And the goal and the vision is always to continue to go east. I've spent a lot of time in like Florida, so we're looking to get into like past Christiana, Bay St. Louis and Mississippi, and into like Fairhope and Gulf Shores and Perdido and Destin and Fort Walton, all the way down to that 30A.
That's awesome.
So that's like the big vision. But as it sits today, the W Group is an independent real estate brokerage. We have about 74 licensed agents between those 3 markets now, and it's always growing, always scaling, and always changing. So I am still the I guess quote unquote top producer on the team. I've tried to scale myself out as take on more CEO roles, but I still really get a lot of I feel like a lot of purpose, and I get a lot of I just get a lot of joy and a lot of energy out of being a producer in real estate. So really just trying to leverage, and I know this is really a leverage podcast, inevitably to leverage myself so I can just really focus on the highest dollar producing activities.
I love that concept. We talk about that all the time. And Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time book, right?
Man.
And my guests hear that all the time. I'm just like, there's a book that if you have, there are a lot of top books, especially like in real estate, but that is a huge one for replacement ladders and cost analysis and energy target. Like it's just such a powerful book if you're ever in question about how to install leverage right into your business. So Trey and I we have a similar background. That's why I'm super excited here, because I ran same thing, like Trey may not know this, but I ran a real estate team in Colorado, and man, we were in like 7 or 8 cities, right? We weren't quite 70 agents strong. We got about 25 agents strong, and we were in 5 different states. I think the most we did, not huge numbers, but a couple hundred transactions. But in the Colorado market, that's the price points. That's a pretty nice little GCI.
Really good.
So I experienced a lot of the same challenges and pains as a team leader and owner, and in production, out of production. I didn't necessarily share the same desires of long term, like being in the hot seat of the realtor world. It wasn't necessarily for me personally my passion after a while. So kudos to you for that being your passion. But again, there's a lot of value in being in the seat, right? You're keeping up with what's going on because you're in the trends, you're seeing everything, you're experiencing what the clients are feeling, as opposed to where I kind of sat on the backside and watched it go through the agents. So as you've looked to scale, right? I'll call scale from one market center to the next. I'm curious of how you decided to do that. I know in my strategy, obviously, I was kind of the old school KW guy. Like I followed the expansion model, right? And I kind of just very much did the quote ink dot strategy, right? So as my leads grew out, and naturally, the more leads I got, the more service I provided. It was just a natural, slow, territorial expansion, shall we say, until I went to different states, and then that was a whole different level sets of challenges. So back to you. Tell me a little bit about how did you decide to kind of grow out to other cities?
Yeah, very similar to what your path was, right? Like I was a KW guy. I was started my career in 2010 with KW. Left. I was a buyer's agent when I started, and then became a solo, agent. I was working for a smaller boutique independent real estate brokerage, and then we actually had an opportunity to start a Berkshire Hathaway home services franchise here in Baton Rouge, which me and 2 other guys, we did that together. And then it just became like cost of sale issue, and like it is in most. And then I had always, leaned into the MREA and all of the systems and processes that Gary Keller put in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. So the economic model, the lead generation model, the organizational model, like all of those models, they really continue to guide me forever, right? And then, of course, we start talking about expansion. And like you, mine was probably a little bit more organic. I got an opportunity to join the Zillow Flex in 2020, and we grew our team really quickly. We also had some success, and they're like, hey, look, we've got some additional opportunities in these other markets. Is this something you'd be interested in? And I'm like, well, yeah. And at the time, KW had what was called KWIN, which was KW Keller Williams Expansion Network.
Mm-hmm.
And what was cool about KW Expansion Network, it was almost like a statewide brokerage where instead of going into each individual market center and having to renegotiate caps for agents, right?
That was me.
Inevitably is,
all right.
Well, look, it was me too.
Yeah.
So they killed KWIN as I'm expanding into 3 different market centers, throughout Louisiana. And every market center had a different team leader. It had a different operating principle. It had different leadership. So it was we as the W group had to go in there and really earn the credibility, right? They saw what we were doing in Baton Rouge. They're like, well, you're not having success here. So why should we give you these favorable commission splits? So anyways, all that to say, that is the main reason we decided to go independent was because, we wanted to lower our cost of sale. So we lower our cost of sale. Our agents inevitably get a raise immediately, which was great. But KW is an amazing company. I have all the love in the world for Gary and Jason and all those guys over there. But to go back to your original answer, the answer was organically through Zillow Flex. And then once you built the machine, you know what I mean? And you showed that you could really, you could scale it, right? You could systematize it. That's what we did. And now we've done it and we've had success in multiple locations. So now it's really just compounding upon that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's excellent. And I think that was me. I was always a challenge seeker, right? I'm okay, cool. I sold X amount of houses on my own. I'm happy with that. Let's show that my systems and processes work. Let's bring in team agents and see if they can follow those, because clearly I've proven they can work. Whether they'll do it or not, another story, but that was the goal. Right. And then whatever, I became a MAPS coach and OP and a team lead and all those fun things. Right. So I'm just always that guy that just wants to continue to go and see where I can go. No limits kind of thing. And that's kind of why I want to do the podcast, because I find a lot of amazing guests on here that are the same way. It's go. But the downside to sometimes is go is building out a leveraged company. Right. I see so many people that are broken because they just go and they're not building smartly and not building strong foundations. They're just building a sales business, let's just say, right, as opposed to a fully functional kind of corporate type model. So talk to me a little bit about how your team is structured today, if you don't mind. Whether it's organizational structure, how does that leverage look like, or staffing kind of look like in your model?
Yeah, so very similar. Again, we started this thing. We followed the MREA, which was the organizational model, right? And I love it because Gary said this back in the past. He said, first I do it, then we do it, then they do it. And there's certain things I would go and I've been a Tom Ferry business coach for many years and been in the Tom Ferry ecosystem. And, I'd go to all these conferences around the country and, I would come back with all these crazy, awesome ideas. And this is before I had an operations director in place, right? And I am a visionary. I am not an operator, right? And it took me, reading Traction and reading Rocket Fuel and some of those books to really figure out where is my best energy spent and focus on the things that give me energy and then leverage the things that take energy away. Because I would come back from a conference and I would be, I'd sit here in front of my computer and I'm all right, I'm ready to build this new system or this process or this checklist or whatever. And it would paralyze me because that's just not who I am, right? So first big hire I made, which actually our former listing coordinator, his name's Derek Reeves. He was an incredible operator. So we hired him. And then he inevitably ended up moving on to different things in his world, kind of more of an independent role.
Sure. And
I hired a guy named Daniel Woodson. And Daniel was actually the mentee behind the CEO of Geico. And he lived in Atlanta, Georgia. And he ran 300 people sales teams. But he is a true integrator operator. And when we hired Daniel, our business just rocket ship. So as it stands today, right? So I'm the CEO and the visionary of the company. Daniel is the operator integrator. We have a marketing department, which Tyler Hicks runs our marketing department. We have an inside sales agent, Michael Smith, who handles we have 3 virtual assistants, that work with us. But Michael is the ISA, right? So inside sales agent, and then he kind of runs. Him and Daniel run our virtual assistant ISA model, and then we have Hillary Gilmore, who's our listing coordinator. Michelle Hodnett, who is our transaction coordinator. And then we have a more or less kind of like a hybrid listing / transaction coordinator on the North Shore and South Shore. So they're probably working between probably 20 agents over there, where we're like, or maybe even 25, or we're probably heavier, like 50 to 45 agents over here. So the structure is a little bit different, but it inevitably kind of works the same. We just haven't grown to where we have a separate listing coordinator versus transaction coordinator. But we're set up right now, where we could go and recruit and continue to scale, and we don't have to necessarily go and add any additional support, if you will.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's great.
I kind of like that. One of the things I really honored was one of my first director of operations. I just lucked out, I guess, is the best way to say it. Is I don't think it's luck, but there's certainly a luck played into finding the right person, and she just happened to be that person. In fact, when I decided to shrink the business down, right, I let her go, but I opened up a new opportunity for her, and that was what was really cool about the different capacities of it. I said, well, let's just go open up a transaction coordinator company. You can have ownership of it, and now you get to move from an operator, quote unquote, right, or an employee to an owner. We'll give you a guarantee pay to get off your feet and get running, and then I just have a percentage of the ownership. And 2+ years later, right, I think we'll do, it's not big numbers, but 250, 300 transactions. But she's just doesn't want to work 1,000 hours a week. That's not her passion. She's like, and I'm like, look, I can guarantee you a salary, and it doesn't have to come out of my pocketbook anymore. I'm loving that. Like, long life, I'm a win-win guy. I'm like, you help me win, I will take care of you. Like, I will help you win for as long as we can possibly make it.
100% same mindset.
I love it. What's the biggest thing you're focused on growing right now?
Yeah, so it's funny. The other day I was listening to a podcast, and Tom Ferry and I are incredibly close. But one of the things that he said in that podcast, and it really stuck with me because that's where we are. So it's simplify, systemize, and scale. Yeah. So just from a standpoint of just really agents, I think the biggest challenge with agents, there's a lot of things they can be doing. I mean, how much social media content do I need to publish every week, right? Mm-hmm. Like you get the weeds with that, right? Lead generation. What's the perfect follow-up, for all of the leads that are in? How do I manage the 300 or 400 leads that are inside of my CRM? How do I connect with my sphere of influence and past clients? So really for me, it's just trying to simplify, and it's always been simplify. And when I mean simplify, there's really 2 metrics that we really try to track in our business. And number one, it's always been appointments met. Okay. And the reason I say mets is like, conversations will take care of themselves if you really focus on the met, and then sets will take care of themselves if you focus on the met. Because our goal as a team is 2 met appointments per week, which would be 8 met appointments, right, per month. You multiply that by 48, that's 96, right? So we're just assuming most agents are going to work 48 weeks out of a 52-week year. If they do that, they go on 96 met appointments, again, not set. And our conversions, I think we run about 66% on an appointment set to met, and then we run about probably about the same 65 to closer to 70% from when we meet someone that we actually, we meet them and we sign them. So when you follow the simplicity of that, and the other part of that is really just like, can we have 5 business-focused conversations about real estate in a day, right? Which inevitably 25 a week times 4, right? So it's 100 business-focused conversations, and it's simple, right? And I think we talk about like simplicity scales, complexity kills, right?
Yep. 100%. I love that concept. A couple of things. Like, one, I can always tell when I'm working with a successful business owner because they can spit out their numbers, right? And that's such a science that is overlooked in so many times. Half the people don't even know their numbers, right? Don't even know numbers exist, or they're just like, I don't know, I'm not a numbers person. I'm like, well, you better become a numbers person.
You better become one.
If you want to run a business, you better know a P&L. You better know your stats. You better know your KPIs. You better be able to measure everything. Like, that's part of being a business owner at a high level if you want to scale. The other thing I loved about what you said is simplicity is everything, right? And that is one thing I learned a lot from Ben Kinney, right? With Place, right, and all that. Is I was in some of his high-level masterminds for a few years at Metrics and all that stuff. And Ben was just he's like, you got to keep it simple. Like, and he just had a skill and a knack for as big as his world was and as complicated as it was. He could get on a stage and draw a triangle and make an advanced topic super freaking simple. And that was genius, right? And so that's to your point, right? It's like the simpler you can make it, the easier it is to comprehend, the easier it is to implement, the more activity happens. Winning, everybody's winning.
Yeah. So I mean, just like anything, right? Track and measure. So I mean, if you really wanted to go on like something simplistic, right? The 4 disciplines of execution, for example, is a
Mhm.
framework, that we really use for part of our business. And there's lots of different systems, from like stuff we use from Traction, stuff we use from the 12-week year, stuff we use from the MREA. But if you
Mhm.
look at the 4 disciplines of execution, which says create the wildly important goal, act on the lead measures, create the compelling scoreboard, and then create a cadence of accountability.
Yep.
It
Absolutely.
can't get a whole lot more simple than that, right? And I think for us, as we scale, I think the one thing that we've had to really like look inside of our business and have some self-awareness around is that we're not holding the agents accountable to the cadence of accountability like we
Mhm.
should. So we're really,
Mhm.
at this point in our world, we're doing a lot of leverage through artificial intelligence to
Mhm.
we built, and again, it's pretty incredible. My operations director is the greatest operations director in real estate, and I'll put him against anybody. But he built what's called a SQL server on
Oh,
basically a supercomputer that's housed in his house, right? That's
wow.
like, and he's got all of our raw data from CISU, which is what we track and measure. All of our raw data
Mhm.
from 10 years of data. All of our follow up boss data, which we have 65,000 people in that database, which is growing and compounding like by 1,000 to 1,200
Yeah.
people every single month, right?
Imagine. Yeah.
MLS data now feeds into there. What else? Just anything that you could think of from a data standpoint of like operations, it's all in there. We can now use artificial intelligence to basically review, find holes in our ships, give us advice as like a CEO, and just help us to continue again to simplify, systemize, and scale our business.
Yep. Love that. If you walk out of anything, that's kind of it, right?
So
Simplify, systematize, and scale. Because so many
yeah,
business
so
owners, one, visionaries are terrible about simplifying because they do, and I'm one, right? And so I
yeah.
get it. It's like something's working. You feel like, okay, I'm bored. Let's try something new. And it's like you're just complicating the problem. Let's just double down on what's working instead of always having to go like, but this is cool. Let's do this.
Yeah, see, it's funny because like there must be some operation and some like operator like deep down inside of me
Yeah, you just don't know that.
because I want to like simplify things and I don't want to build them. I want to be the visionary to tell the operator what to build. But I don't. I guess I'm like a systems and processes guy in the sense of like just tell me
Yeah.
what to do, and I'm just going to go in and I'm going to go do it. Right. I'm going to execute on whatever it is that you tell me I need to do,
Mhm.
and I just try not to really overthink things. So like there's some things inside of me. I guess it's like I'm a creature of habit. I'm routine. I'm a very like if you listen to Tony Robbins, he talks about the 6 human needs, right? Like certainty for me is like probably one of like my top human needs. So
Uh,
like when it comes to a process or a system and I trust and have faith in it, I know that I'll get a certain outcome. It's
mhm.
pretty easy for me to
It's
just,
comfortable.
go
Yeah.
take action, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Perfect. What is something that you stopped doing that helped you grow faster?
Yeah, so this year has been a big reflection, like self-reflection for me. So I'll give you a perfect example. One of the books that I've read recently, I'm a big reader, read lots and lots of books, but 10x is easier than 2x. It's
Hmm.
Benjamin Hardy and Dan
Hmm.
Sullivan, right? So Dan
Yep.
Sullivan, strategic coaching, and then Ben Hardy, he's inevitably a writer, a psychologist. And what they say in the book is inevitably, it's like you have to figure out what your unique opportunities are. And like I just like started taking myself out of like lower price home sales, that even if it was like occasionally like a best friend comes along and they've got a certain situation where
Sure.
it's a lower price point. But I said one thing I said is I stopped taking clients under a certain price point. So for
Hmm.
me, we're in a very different market than most people. Our median sales price for everybody listening is 267,000.
Okay.
Our average sales price as a team is about 305. So anything north of 4, I'll take with it at a 3% commission, right? North of 10 grand,
Sure.
I'll do it. Anything sub that, right? Like it's a team member. My wife is also she works in the business with me, right? So like referring out to someone else. That was one thing that I did that I've obviously bought back my time.
Hmm.
And another thing is really just like I learned a long time ago, and I say a long time ago, maybe not a long time ago, maybe like a year or two ago, that if it doesn't give me energy,
Yeah.
that it needs to be leveraged to someone else. So
Yeah.
I really just try to stay in a world of like what brings energy to me. what inevitably do I enjoy doing, and I feel pretty like, God, I feel like is giving me a pretty solid purpose. And I feel like my purpose is, number one, honor God in everything I do, pursue excellence, steward resources, money, capital, things like that. And then pursue excellence in everything I do. So, pouring into people, helping people remove limiting beliefs, raise their capacity, right? Chase their dreams with unwavering determination. Like that's, and when you're clear on your purpose, I think it's pretty easy to make decisions on, where should you be spending your time. And so as of today, right, you're talking to Trey today, that's where I'm at.
Love it. Love it. And that's kind of like, why businesses have core values, right? It's your purpose, of course, is very personal to you. Your core value should be as personal to your business as your purpose is, right, to you. So as you said, some of those statements of, excellence in all we do, like that, you truly are passionate about that. You believe that. You show up to work every day with that ingrained and etched into your actions on a daily basis. And when companies can exude their core values and their entire organization not only knows it, they follow it, it's just a powerful thing that happens within those companies.
Yeah, for sure. And like our core values, which aren't too different, but like number one is embrace discipline and accountability.
Yep.
Right. Number two is act with integrity. Right. Number three is teamwork. Number four is growth oriented. Number five is creating raving fans.
Yep. Absolutely. And everybody not only should be able to say it, and we do the same thing here. We test our people and we're like, and you can hold everybody to those standards now too, right? You're like, hey, guess what? You're no longer a fit for our company because you're not acting with integrity. We have 5 core values.
Yes,
I'm sorry you don't match one of those today based on that decision. I don't have any sympathy. Bye.
Yeah, see.
All right. I want to move into a lightning round with you real quick to
Yeah.
wrap up this episode. And so these are just quick one-hitters, super fast ones. What is your favorite business book out of all the readings that you do? And I'm sure you got a million, but one.
Yeah. So I would say if it's real estate, it's The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. It still is relevant today as the day it was written. 10X is Easier than 2X by Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan.
That's a good one. I've had both. Yeah, I think I built my whole foundation app on the MREA, of course, and all of the fun trainings around that. So best purchase.
So I'll give you one more. Just these are almost in the same, but the compound effect and the slight edge. So compound effect, Darren Hardy, and then slight edge, Olson. Anyways.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard the slight edge one yet, so that's awesome.
Great
I'll definitely
book.
have to check those out. Okay, cool. Definitely have to look at that. Best purchase over $10,000.
Best purchase over $10,000. I mean, I think anything in real estate is always. We just built our forever home for me. So it was like so that's just what comes to mind for me. In the immediate. And it's funny. I mean, other than that, I lease my cars. You know what I mean? I try to lease anything I can. I have a debt. The only debt I have is like a house note and a car note, So I don't really buy a lot of things. Actually, you know what? I will say this. We did just go to Italy for 2 full weeks.
Okay.
And so
I did see that on your Facebook. I was like,
so that was
like
definitely more than 10 grand split, 10 grand spent. And that was an incredible opportunity.
Yeah, that's so rewarding and such give back to your family. And re-energizes the heck out of you. So I don't think people take breaks enough. I think the wrong people take too many breaks, but the right people need to take more breaks.
Yes, agree.
What's your favorite AI tool right now for your business?
Claude, no question.
That's most common. What app, if I were to open your phone today and see which one you use the most, what would it be?
Claude today.
Claude still on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And social media, Facebook and Instagram. I mean, those are apps that I use, but I'm not a big app guy. So
got it. Yeah. What is your most impactful habit?
Most impactful habit is waking up early in the morning, 4:45, fasted cardio, 5 o'clock if I'm not doing cardio, and it's just waking up, being in the Word every day, doing some level of personal development every day.
Nice. One thing that you would never delegate.
That's a really good question. So anything with my sphere of influence and my past clients is something, and then I definitely want to still specifically my top performers. They need to hear from me often.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. If you had a Trey Willard dictionary that you had to write and you had to write a definition of the word leverage, how would you write that definition?
Yeah. So it goes back to some of the stuff we were talking about before. Number one, and it's hard to say one thing or some, it's like, I don't own lawn equipment. Okay. And I say this in the sense of like, I know how much money I make per hour. So I tell people all the time, like,
Yes.
what do you make? Let's just say it's your net profit per hour. And when you know what that number is, anything below that, and again, specifically the things that take energy away from you, leverage them out.
Yep. Absolutely. I love that. And I think we can go into a whole nother thing, but that's what Dan Martell's like, right? It's like take that grow your goal revenue, divide it out by roughly 2,000 hours, right? No one, just like you
Yep.
did the math earlier, going to be taking 4 weeks
Yep.
off on average a year, figure it out.
Yep.
And then, yeah, that's your hourly wage. Would you pay Mike to $400 an hour to mow your lawn? If that's your value, your answer is probably no. So pay
No,
somebody else to do it.
$75, man. Let's go.
Exactly. Because if you do that, I mean, at $1,000, I might come down and do it. But
100%, right? No, so yeah, that and it's important that people know that. And I'm glad you mentioned that buy back your time by Dan Martell, because it's a book that's full of like real strategy, and it's not
easy.
theory.
Yeah.
And that's I really like that. And I've actually been watching pretty much all of Dan's videos, and of course he's so bullish on AI right now. It's just been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Trey, thank you so much. I want to wrap up this episode today. I really appreciate you coming in and spending time. I mean, somebody who runs the size of business for you, it is a cost, just like we talked about. Like your dollars an hour just got 50% of that used towards this podcast. So I really appreciate that. Next time we're out, I'll take you and your wife out for a steak dinner to make up for that dollars that you spent today. So
look, remember what I told you, one of those pillars, man, serve people, dudes. That's what I'm here to do. And anything I can say or coach people on or whatever, and it somebody hears something and it has an impact on them.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
It was 100% worth my time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. You're a great guy. If anybody wanted to reach out to you, connect with you, become an agent on your team, have a property they need to sell out in that Baton Rouge and surrounding areas, how would they reach out to your team?
Yeah. So, easy on social, Trey Willard. I think I might be one of the only ones, Trey.Willard on Instagram. That's the easiest way to connect with me.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Well, Trey, thank you so much. And I hope our paths cross sometime in the future. Stay connected, man. We got a very comparable background and a lot of similar upbringings and trainings and knowledge. So appreciate you.
Yeah. Gotcha, Mike. Thanks, bro.
All right. For our podcast guests, thanks. That's another great episode for us. Great power. Appreciate the concept. A lot of buyback of your time in that conversation. You can tell he's very leveraged in his business, and he got to go to Italy for 2 weeks, and not too many people get to do that don't have leverage in their business. So with that, I'm signing off. Thank you so much.